So it's been a few years since I got to do my last peak in the bag. I used to throw a lot of forehands, predominantly forehand, but after tweaking my elbow and my wrist, I've switched to a lot more backhands. So I've had to kind of change the disc in my bag a little bit, kind of change the way I approach the game. So it'll be definitely fun and different from my last one, which I think was 3 years ago. I'm gonna start with my putters, which are my favorite disc in the bag. I putt with the XT COLTs. It feels really comfortable. It has a really nice smooth release. I'm also a spin putter, so I put a lot of torque on the disc, and I like it to be able to always fight through a wind and always come back and not flip over. So the XT COLT has been one of my favorite discs for putting and throwing as of late. I've been working with throwing putters a lot more often as well. So the next most thrown disc in my bag is my other putter. It is the Pro RHYNO. It is a little bit tougher to find because it's not a production run disc. I would line it up with almost an AVR 3 maybe at this time. The reason I prefer the Pro RHYNO over the AVR 3 is just because I like the thumb track on the edge of the disc. I like mine weirdly a little bit concave. This is supposed to be a disc that just lays down next to the basket. I don't want to get a lot of distance out of it. The most recent addition to my bag is this old Innova AVR putter. I stole this out of Big Germ's garage. It has a snowman on it, which is not typical for the Florida people, but I really do like this disc a lot. I just started throwing putters this off season. I really like the beadless AVRs because you don't get a whole lot of play and you know what they're going to do every time. So I've really enjoyed learning to throw this farther than just on short approach shots. The next disc in my bag that is one of the longest molds in my bag is the beadless gator. It turns out they're excellent for any kind of wind shot, forehand or backhand for longer approaches. I can throw it really hard and never ever expect it to dump. It's always going to come out and it's always going to pretty much hold a flat line and reliably fade at the end. I've been always wanting to be your typical Innova player. I always want to bag a rock, but I've never been able to figure them out until obviously I started switching to a more backhand dominant game. I won't say it's consistent yet, but I finally feel confident enough to bag one and use it. It's just a regular DX rock, it's max weight. It beats in a little bit faster than maybe you want out of a disc, but they straight out of the bag, brand new. They're exactly the flight you want. I throw it around the 250 to 300 range. You can throw it flat and hard and it won't flip over at first. You can throw it on a hyzer angle and it will flip up to flat. It's exactly what you want in the woods, and it also has a little bit of glide for if you want to throw it in a more wide open situation. I bag a Mako 3. It doesn't have a bead. It has a nice rounded rim, which is what I like. I throw it in star plastic. It takes forever to bead in. It pretty much flies the same as the day I got it. So this is another one like the rock and like the AVR that will show you your errors and force you to clean up your lines a little bit, but this one's a little bit more forgiving than the rock. My final mid-range that is in my bag currently is my only non-Innova mold. It is a Discmania MD2, my most overstable mid-range in the bag right now. It's another one that is beadless with a little bit of a rounded edge. I throw it in the S-line plastic. I can throw it hard and flat and it'll go straight and finish straight with a reliable fade. So I throw the FIREBIRD in the star plastic. I like a flatter star FIREBIRD. These are a little bit of an older run. Like I said, I like the designer plastic, but thank goodness Nate Sexton came out with his Sexton FIREBIRD, and it's probably one of the more similar discs to the old flat star FIREBIRDs. I have some of his discs as a backup as well. They fly pretty similarly in that they don't dump out like your normal flat FIREBIRD. I don't pull it out as often because on my backhand shots, I can't make it go straight for as far as I could forehand, but it's still my most reliable disc in my bag for windy days and for those really hard turning left holes. The next disc in my bag are my Madison Walker Tour Series discs from 2018, the Color Glow Champion Thunderbirds, Thunderpeckers, if you will. I bagged two of them. One is my older one, and then I have a newer one that's more overstable, a little bit more for wind conditions. It's one step up from the FIREBIRD. It has more glide and less fade. So basically it's the best disc ever. For backhand, basically whatever line I put these on and whatever angle I release it on, they go on that for a really long time before the reliable fade at the end. The last non-distance, high distance driver that I throw is the SIDEWINDER. I bagged two of them. This is my old crappy one. I call it my invisible disc because if you throw this anywhere, you're gonna have a hard time finding it, but it's worth it. Goes just as far as my Wraiths and my Shrikes. I can put it on any angle, and if I give it enough height, it's always gonna work back at the end and give me that fade that I want, but it goes so far on anhyzer. If you throw it on a hyzer, it'll flip up to flat and go so far before it fades at the end. Great disc for beginners. Sidewinders are awesome. I throw it in champion plastic, but it's great in star plastic as well. I've just started bagging this blue one that's a little bit newer. This one is getting a little bit beaten. It's still my favorite one, but I have this one just in case I need something just a tiny bit more stable, but not quite as stable as my Thunderbirds. The next disc that I used to bag when I was first learning a backhand, but then put it away when I went back to my forehand, but now have pulled back out again now that I'm a backhand dominant player, is this Champion Wraith. Throwing forehand, they go dead straight forever. They have a lot of glide. For a backhand, I really like this in a little bit windier situations. It's kind of like a little bit more stable version of my strikes. This really also helped highlight my angles for backhand for the distance drives, but it is a forgiving driver, which is another reason I like it. It doesn't matter what nose angle or wing angle you release it on, it's still gonna kind of correct and help you to go straight, which is what we all want out of a distance driver. The next disc in my bag is my 2017 fundraiser disc. It is the Color Glow Champion Shrike. This was my first ever Tour Series disc, and when you get to pick a Tour Series disc, you're very excited. So the fact that it's my first one says a lot on how much I like it. It does have a lot more turn than my Wraith, but it still has the fade at the end if you give it the right height. You can throw it on hyzer, you can throw it as an anhyzer and it'll hold forever and land flat. I don't recommend it for throwing into a headwind. That's the only time that makes it a little bit squirrely, but every other time, calm wind, tailwind, crosswind, it's an excellent disc, and it is probably my go-to distance driver. And the last driver in my bag and my overstable beefcake, my Star Destroyer. I can rip on it with anhyzer and it'll hold that really long anti-flight while always crashing back at the end. You can throw it hard and flat. You can throw it on hyzer. You can do anything with this thing. And it's very, very reliable. So there are 3 discs that I was just introduced during this off season that I'm excited to be testing out and throwing, and you will likely see in my bag in the future. Just got to throw this TL3. It goes dead straight out of the hand. I actually almost accidentally aced with it on my first throw. It's like a little bit less stable of a fairway driver. It has a tiny bit of turn, tiny bit of fade. It's an 8-speed. It's exactly what I need. Very excited to throw this more often. Very excited to work this into the mix, and it's filling a gap that I had in my bag. So another disc that I just got to test out yesterday, and what surprised me immensely, was the Star Wombat 3. Goes on whatever line you put it on, whether it be straight, whether it be a little bit of an Annie or a little bit of a hyzer. It just kind of holds it and glides forever on that line. The last disc that I've been excited, I've been testing it out in a DX plastic during the off season, is the AVR 3. I really like it for high wind approaches. It feels really good for forehand and backhand, and I'm gonna give it a shot as being my go-to overstable approach disc. So this is not my go-to tour bag. This is my travel bag. I usually use the Upper Park Shift, so I don't have all of my fun knickknacks that I usually carry around with me, but I do have a few things that I can tell you guys about. I always carry a cell phone because I religiously take nature pictures during my entire round. It's kind of like my zen. I always have a bandana, usually on my head, but sometimes in my hand too. It's really nice for drying your hands off, along with, I like to use a whale sack. You'll rarely ever see me without my sunglasses. The fact that I'm not wearing them this entire video is probably pretty weird for you guys to see what I look like. I get that a lot. I think you'll see a lot of disc golfers with chopsticks in their bag. That's pretty common. And my favorite thing in my bag is my Mini. This is my dog, Bougie. This was given to me. I've actually had it for 2 years and haven't lost it, which is very impressive for minis, as many of you guys know. This is a picture of him out on the beach, and it's nice to carry it with me year round when I can't bring him with me on the road. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a peek inside my bag. If you ever have a question and you want to ask me what I'm throwing, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'd like to keep you guys up to date.